Alex, your sound.
Yeah.
What a great way to start. Let's start that again, shall we? Hey everyone, welcome to the Get More Students webinar. I'm one of your co-hosts today, but you can see us all here. We have Herbert Goetzer in corner one, Korinne Algie in corner two, and our special guest today is Nicola Lutz. So we're going to have a really great session today. How it's going to work is I'm going to just introduce some themes about what's happening in the industry around language and tutoring, which is the predominant focus of this webinar. I'm going to pass it on to Herbert, who's got what do you give a little teaser?
5 hacks for creating the perfect ad.
That's a sexy title, so you're in for something. Korinne, can you beat Herbert's nice title?
Well, maybe not the title. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to talk to people about how to turn one piece of content or one content idea into many different pieces of content. Because we want to be smart about content, not
I
just,
need this.
You know,
This is a great idea.
just not just blast it all out there in one go. We're going to, get the most out of it.
Awesome. And Miss Nicola Lutz, tell us about what's the teaser for your session. This is going to be the main event, by the way.
Well, the title is "What the Fluff is a Sales Process."
We have a clear winner.
I think that is the winner.
I clearly missed the memo on coming up with a fabulous name.
Don't worry, we're here to be wowed by Nicola anyway, so that is all good. So let's start off. I'll just get things cracking. I always go the wrong way. Okay, Get More Students. Here we are. You've heard from all of us that we're all here, which is great. And Nicola Lutz. Now, before everyone gets really excited about what Nicola Lutz is going to be telling us today, is she's also the founder of No Fluff. She's an expert in sales and student recruitment, and she's also director of study travel. So you are going to want to listen in to Nicola's slot coming up. But my job is just to give you a quick overview about what's happening around language and tutoring. And actually, fantastic that Nicola, you're here. You might have some other kind of ideas about what's happening, and I definitely want this to be a collaborative approach. But certainly some of the things that jump to me, I think everyone wants to know what's going to happen in winter. I think I've had so many meetings with LearnCube customers or prospects that have said, actually, I don't know if I'm going to need to go online. It's going to be fine. We're going to have spring and I'll be able to go back to normal. And I'm hearing the same thing, that a lot of people are still finding their sales process and their delivery really disrupted, even now. So I think eyes are definitely on COVID-19. We're seeing numbers go down in a lot of areas, which is amazing. Some areas are looking up, unfortunately, and same in the UK where I live. Nothing scary, I don't think, at this stage, but I think everyone is being aware of what the numbers are doing, and hopefully this will be the last winter where we have to deal with any major implications, but fingers crossed. One thing that was really fascinating, we've talked a little bit over the months, watching what's happening in the China space has obviously huge implications on the rest of the industry, but it was fascinating to see, effectively the last one to drop in a way. VIP Kid ends its flagship program in China, happening next month, or even as we speak, really. I think people have been given their last classes, although hopefully there are still some classes going, but it's a big, it's a pretty big deal, since they've often been seen as the kind of icon of the edtech unicorn and have raised over $1 billion in capital. So it's quite a phenomenal change and shows how difficult it can be working in China with those regulations. Some things that I'm noticing is just some consolidation in the language school space. Nicola, I don't know if you come across anything, even just through your work and study travel, about anything that's sort of top of mind about what's happening in the industry?
Yeah, there's more consolidation happening and about to happen. There's been lots of behind the scenes negotiation and things happening. So we should see some more announcements before the end of the year, I believe. Yes, there is more. Sadly, there's been a lot of closures, but there'll be some new kind of breath of life into a few of the schools as well. But yes, consolidation in terms of the centres, but also new programs opening and people diversifying a bit as well. It's been really interesting moves.
Nicola, what have you seen as kind of ways that people have been diversifying? I don't know if you're kind of exposed to that a little bit, or maybe just some headline segments.
Well, the online obviously was already a pivot, as they say.
Yeah.
But we've also had several schools have expanded their pathways programs around the globe, and having lots of hybrid programs and looking at work skills as well. That's been growing slowly. And also there have been a few launches of schools in the UK at least, in the secondary space, so in the IGCSE provision, bringing in both national or domestic and international students as well. So that's been something to keep an eye on.
Interesting stuff. And one of the things that has come up in some of my conversations about where people have gone from Chinese providers like VIP Kid is that's where I think we're also seeing some uptime and or uptick in, say, OutSchool, and I'm noticing, even from a LearnQ perspective, a lot of quite new, really, online tutoring providers in the States, and I think we're seeing it elsewhere. So it's definitely a space that seems to be getting a lot of attention and growing, particularly, and Herbert, just what we talk a lot about, finding certain niches and then really expanding on those. So it'd be interesting to watch. But that
Great.
is my slot. So I'm going to pass over to Herbert.
Wonderful. Thank you, Alex.
Right.
So let me share my screen.
Herbert, do you already have access, or do I need to make you host?
No, not yet.
Okay. The baton is passed.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, yes, my section is going to be quick today, but I hope I give you some inspiration and some ideas. We're going to cover 5 hacks for creating the perfect ad. Now, I know a lot of schools and tutoring companies out there are already running some ads, whether that be on Facebook, Instagram, or Google. But oftentimes we get a creative block or a writer's block. We don't know what to write in the headlines or in the ad copy, or what photos or videos to launch with our ads. So here are some ideas for you. If you're just getting started with ads, please don't try to be too sophisticated or spend a lot of time and resources creating your ads. Better done than perfect, as I like to say. And again, you don't need to spend money on professional photographers and video teams and editing. Some of the best performing creatives are actually photos and videos done on a smartphone. So yeah, you can really get the same results with a simple and well-crafted image or video ad. So here are 5 tactics to create some ads on a small budget. Number 1 is to look at the open rates of your emails that you send to your subscribers. These can either be newsletter subscribers or even a list of email automations that you send to prospects or leads that come in through your sales funnel. Look at those emails, see which has the highest open rates, and use those subject lines in your ad copy. So that is hack number 1. Number 2 is to look at your Facebook and Instagram profiles. These are fantastic platforms to know what kind of content is performing the best with your chosen audience. You want to have a look at the number of likes and the number of comments people are leaving on your photos. I would dare to guess that 97, 98% of the highest performing photos and videos on your Facebook and Instagram profiles are of real people. So real students, your teachers, and your staff. So this is a great place to get inspiration and use those photos and videos that are performing the best. Number 3, is to do a little research and get some inspiration by signing up to relevant schools, so possibly even your competitors, as well as other businesses, and signing up to their marketing emails, their newsletters, to see what kind of automation, to see what kind of promotions they have. And of course, not to steal anything, but to get inspiration for your own ad copy and for your own creatives here. What I like to do is create a personal swipe file. So if I find any emails or if I stumble across any ads that I see when I browse the internet, I take screenshots of them and save them in a particular photo and use them as inspiration when I need to come up with a new concept. Number 4 is to use the Facebook ads library. This is a resource that not a lot of people know about. And every ad that is run by any company in the whole world on Facebook and Instagram is available for you to view. And what you want to do is we're actually going to do a live demo right here. So let me get out of my screen and I will show you exactly what you need to do. So you just go to Facebook ads library, you can Google it, and you want to click on all countries. You want to see all of the ads in all countries, as well as all ads. And then you type in your competitor, or maybe a different brand or school in your space, and you click on their profile. And Facebook will show you all of the ads that they are currently running, which is a fantastic resource. So here, Duolingo, very well-known language learning app, over 100 results. They have a lot of ads, obviously in different languages for different target markets. But if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, then you will be able to see the oldest ads. So when they were launched, here we can see launched in February 2021. And for example, this one was launched in October 2020, so a year ago. Now, this is a good sign. And usually the ads that have been up the longest are the best performing ones. Otherwise, you wouldn't leave them running and spending your ad budget. So this is a really good way of getting an idea of what type of creatives, how are they set up? Is it a testimonial video? Is it a long form copy, short form copy, etc. And as we can see with this one, I think this is a short video. Yeah. This one obviously has performed very well for them. So yes,
so
definitely.
Sneaky, by the way.
I know.
I love that. That is
sneaky,
amazing.
But it's not, because it's publicly available.
Totally.
It's yeah. I think it's an amazing resource that not
so
a lot
helpful.
of people use. And my last hack is take what your customers say and put it in the ad, because whatever your prospects or customers use, then that is the most convincing copy, because it's in your customer's heart and in their mind. So you just have to ask them. So look at your reviews on Facebook, on Google, in interviews, teacher class feedback. What are the words that they are using when they talk about their experience? Why they signed up or enrolled in your school, and use them in your ad copy. Yeah, always remember to create several ad variations, always be testing different variations to find the perfect combination of ad copy, creative, headline, and call to action. Yes, that was it for me. I hope that was helpful.
So clever, Herbert. I really love that, because I'm often in a place where I'm just totally flummoxed about what to do for a headline, or just need something, and to be able to look at people that may have an entire team that all they do is ad copy. What a great resource that is.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay. Let me get this started. There we go. Can everyone see that now? Give me a thumbs up. Yes. Great. I did that fast today, Alex. Goodness me.
I know, you have to think of a new computer, or it's following that same taxi that you came
I
in.
know. It's Berlin. It suits me. Okay, so I'm also not going to talk for too long today because I want Nicola to have the biggest opportunity possible to tell us all about sales. But what we are going to do, as I mentioned before, is we're going to look at one piece of content. We talk about how we can separate that out and make it into various pieces of content, because it's always very tempting just to whack it all in one big post. And we really do ourselves a disservice. We have to work twice as hard. So let's see. Let me move this out of the way. Oops. Got it set up quickly, but now I've got that in the way. There we go. Okay, so over the past few, where this has really come from is that over the past few months, we've talked a lot about sort of different types of content and how we should use it. But I think it was 2 months ago when we were talking about content inspiration, what really struck me is that many of you, or many of us, are struggling with actual content ideas. So that sort of got me thinking, and how can I help you? How can I help you work out, how to come up with different things? And so what I'm going to do, as I mentioned before, is we're going to take a piece of content and we're going to break it down and do other bits of content. So let's look at this idea. So for example, let's imagine that we have a new business English course, and it doesn't matter if you're a school or a tutor or whatever. So we've got a new business English course. Could be very tempting to have that as a single post. So that's what's on the left-hand side there. We just make a course announcement. It's one post, over and done with. And as I mentioned before, that's fine, that's great. There is a place for that, usually in a story, but what we really could do is build that out into tons of different bits and pieces. So it's all about being clever. So on the right-hand side there, you'll see that I've got a little list. And the first one, and these are sort of content ideas. So this new business course, what could we do? Well, we could talk about why they should study business English. So this could be simple as giving them a reason or a few reasons for taking the course. Will they get paid more if they can speak English? Will they have international job opportunities? And you could even split this into more than one post, but give them a reason. Don't be afraid to do a little Google research. I Googled reasons to study business English and found an amazing report from the British Council, which gave all kinds of compelling and very, very interesting facts, like 92% of jobs advertised when the study was done required English. So these kinds of things, give them a good, compelling reason why they might want to study that business English course. Testimonials. Herbert just touched on testimonials. I know Nicola loves testimonials too. These are always a big one. You want to use as many identifiers as possible. So that means if you can use somebody's name or where they're from or these identifying aspects, the more you can use, the better. But you can't just go using them willy-nilly. You have to have people's permission to use their information. So make sure that you know what you can and can't do. The best place to get these testimonials is, for example, from Facebook or from Google reviews or Trustpilot if you're using that. These things that are already publicly available and things that are kind of, they're one step separated from you. Meet the teacher, that's always a good one. Have the teacher, talk about the course, show a bit of their personality, get people excited about this new business English course. Course curriculum, now that's one you have to be a little bit careful with because it gets boring and heavy very quickly. So make sure that you pick just sort of one aspect of course curriculum. Maybe it's something that is, really fun or extra sort of special, something that's not usually tackled by your competitors perhaps. Another good one, what employees say. Most of us will know somebody who is an employer, ask them why English might be important in the workplace and use what they say as sort of the basis for some content. Okay, whoops. There we go. So once you've brainstormed, and I call that a build out. Okay, so once you've brainstormed your build out, you might want to think about how you can actually package or present these various different pieces of content, these different ideas, because we really want to mix it up. We want to keep it interesting. We want to, use a variety of different types of content. So what I wanted to very quickly do is to remind you of the different types of content that we can use. So of course we've got posts. So that's single posts, carousel posts, multi-spread posts. Now those are the ones that when you look at Instagram, for example, you might see 6 or 9 posts, and they fit together like a jigsaw. So there's all different ways you can package posts. Stories, we've got image stories, video stories, talk to camera, and also we can use those engagement prompts, ask people questions, you know, why do you want to learn business English, or, you know, different questions or polls. Videos, of course, videos are a really big thing across all social media at the moment. We've got short form videos. Those are the ones that are under 60 seconds and live on our grids and profiles, or we have long form videos, which are generally for maximum engagement, you want to be up around 15 minutes or even longer. We've got Reels, TikToks. You can also use guides, blogs, lives. There's literally so many different types of content, and there's no reason why you couldn't use the same idea and package it in a few different ways. So one day you might have it as a post, and then a week later you might actually do it again as some kind of video, or you might write a blog about the same topic. So there's lots and lots of different ways we can turn one simple piece of content into at least 3, 4, 5 other pieces. So as I said, this was going to be short and sweet today. Hopefully I've given you a little bit of an idea of what you can do with content. It doesn't always have to be that one big post with all the info in one thing. And if you have any questions, as always, you're welcome to contact me via Instagram or email, or if I have a very difficult name, so if that's a little bit tough, you can ask Alex, and I'm sure that he'll connect us. And that's
Absolutely.
just that.
Korinne, that was great. And while you're passing over to Nicola, I just thought it was just so relevant, and it's an easy policy to follow. Is there's so many permutations out of those different blocks. So I'm sure you've also found this as well. You can spend ages on this massive bit of content,
Yeah.
and you get exactly the same number of views, exact same number of engagement, but for something that was literally a couple of lines. So
Yeah.
the length of it is not important at all, but the timing and possibly the message is the main thing to get across, right?
Well,
Distribution. Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't say the link isn't important at all, with keyword search coming into a lot of these social media networks. That is becoming more important.
Okay.
But you are exactly right. It's, you know, you could spend all day creating the perfect post,
Yeah.
or you could spend 10 minutes throwing a post that has just one small aspect of that idea, and you would get exactly the same amount of traction, maybe even more, because that bite-sized piece is so much easier for people to interact with.
I'm just wondering, Korinne, just on this, before we get to Nicola, just like infographics as examples as well, right? Like you can have a blog post that can describe everything in great detail, or you could have one infographic with the same content, but visually, and often that's gets a lot more engagement. I don't know if there's been...
Absolutely. It's because people are very used to these days these visual mediums, and so if you give them an image, it's faster to digest. You know, not everybody can read screeds of information quickly, and none of us have time, so an infographic is always a good idea.
Fantastic. Oh, 2 very good presentations. Nicola, no pressure. No, you're going to be totally, I'm really excited about yours. Sales is the area that I'm most excited about. So bring on Nicola.
I love sales, and actually all of that content stuff we can use in mine. So I'll bring that in. So that's really handy.
Fantastic.
Make sure this is sharing okay. Is that all okay?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we are going to ask the question, what the fluff is a sales process? Why do we need one? Why am I talking to you about that when actually marketing is much more exciting and creative? And I'm going to get you to do something boring like sales, but it's not boring. Sales is excellent, and that's where the cash comes. So we'll crack on with that. We have spoken about who I am. I've been doing it for about 26 years in this sector. I realise that we're going to direct to students and also to agents, and this can be applied to both. So what am I talking about? A sales process. It's the set of actions that you take to move somebody from one stage to the next and then beyond, actually. So it's not just about selling. It could be a referral process or gathering testimonial process or a rebooking process. It's all part of the same thing. It's often called a pipeline. But a pipeline has extra info in it, so they're slightly different. So the sales process is the set of steps themselves that go from lead to sale. A sales funnel is more of a visual representation. I have a lot of clients that get mixed up between funnels and pipelines and processes and all this kind of, and then other people call them other things. So a sales funnel is really a way of putting it into a visual, so you can see that you've got more at the top and less at the bottom, frankly. And you want to be knowing how many you're losing and leaking out of that funnel along the way. You can also do it in the pipeline, but the pipeline's more about the steps. Okay, and you can use them all. Sales pipeline, same as a sales process. So the steps that you go through, but we should know the numbers that we have in each, the specific people or companies that we have in each as well. It will show you that. And it will usually value, seems quite cold, but it will usually give a percentage likelihood that they will buy. So the top of the funnel, so when they come in as a lead, they're less likely to buy than if you've had 6 million conversations with them and answered every possible question they could ever answer. Hopefully those are more likely to buy because you've spent a lot of time on them. So that's what a pipeline is. It's just more detailed. Okay, we'll talk a bit about both. So what are we actually going to do? I do like to leave you with some steps, and you can see this is really easy just to do on good old-fashioned bits of paper if you don't have a CRM or any fancy pants stuff. This is what happens usually. The lead comes in, or this is a very basic sales process. The lead comes in from one of these fabulous ads or your awesome pieces of content that you've just been told how to create. Okay, the lead comes in, it's a direct message, it's an email, it's a web form, however it comes into your world. You might even have gone out and looked for it, which is a bit radical. You might have picked up the phone and done some cold calling, who knows? But you have this lead in your hand, okay? Then what happens is usually you reply to whatever that query is, okay? That's nice and that's polite and that's what we do, okay? That's fine. Hopefully, they then reply to you. You have some sort of interaction, a chat, could be over email, could be Zoom, could be in person, some sort of meeting. And again, it's the same for any industry, actually, not just ours. You usually agree the price or negotiate the price, send some sort of agreement or contract. You've got to chase that up to be signed. You know, those little steps come in here as well. They've got to pay. That might come in here. It might come after you've delivered, so that will change slightly. But then you give them whatever it is they've bought, so the lessons or whatever it might be, you deliver it, and then you're all done. So that seems brilliant, but there is more, because you do really have to ask for those referrals and testimonials and reviews, recommendations. And of course, they might buy, they might have siblings and family and networks that might buy. So that's another process. Okay, so that's the ideal. So if you've got that in place, perfect, right? That's if they're replying. If they don't reply, we've got a different kind of process. This is what usually happens if they don't reply. 9 times out of 10, the lead comes in and you go, oh, lovely, lead. You reply, you answer their questions, you send them your beautiful things. They don't reply, and then nothing happens. That's usually what happens. Sometimes there's a big chunk of people that do this. Sometimes you might chase them up. There might be another step in here. But then after that, there's nothing. If you're guilty of this, let me know in the chat. If you're willing to come clean, you will not be alone. This is what most people do, because they're always busy. They don't want to feel like they're being pushy or sleazy or interrupting someone or thinking, oh, if they want to buy, they'll just buy it. I've given them all the information. And then you'll go and hunt for more leads, which is fine, because you do need to keep the leads coming in. But if you've got a lead here that's already made a choice to contact you to fill in your form and DM you, you kind of got a bit further along that sales process. So we shouldn't be leaving it there. Okay, about 80% of sales are made past that point. So you're leaving money on the table, frankly, that's what you're doing. Okay, so this looks a lot more complicated, and this is where you're going to give up and go, I don't actually want to learn about sales at all. But it's not as hard as all that, really. So the lead comes in, you reply. Hopefully they reply, you have a chat, you deliver your thing, you send them the bill, they refer you. That's the one that we covered earlier, right? So that's the ideal scenario. And that's the low-hanging fruit, really. That's what you're getting. And if you're surviving on the low-hanging fruit, good for you. But there are more out there. Times are pretty hard. There's more competition. So, or competition for cash, at least. Okay, so we need to know what to do with the other ones. They don't reply. You feel awkward. You don't know what to say. How do you do it without being pushy? I will tell you. I will share that. I'm not going to leave you hanging on that. So then you follow up again. You might say, oh, did you get my email? That's the classic. Did you get my last email where I answered all your questions? Which is awful and not at all compelling, frankly. Quite often it can work because, oh yeah, I was busy, I forgot, here we go, this is my answer. But always try and make it compelling rather than passive aggressive. Are you too busy to answer me? We don't want them to feel told off. Okay, but then what if they get back to you, you go up to here, you carry on your chat and you carry on, okay? If they don't reply to this follow-up, you feel even more awkward because now you've chased them up twice and you're just feeling really squirmy about it. But, if I'm on your back, you'll follow them up again and you'll follow them up again and you'll follow them up again. Okay, you're increasing your chances by getting to this point. Now, that's going to make you feel really uncomfortable. So we will talk about that. But if you follow up, really a minimum of 5 times for a good quality lead, not a DM that just goes, hi, you're beautiful, not a really good lead. But if they're saying, I would like to learn English and whatever, there's a chance that that's a quality student, right? If they're filled in an entire web form, don't know about you, I hate filling in web forms. It takes a lot for me to fill in a web form. I'm not interested in forms. So if I filled in your web form, I'm worth following up, okay? So gauge the quality, but follow up at least 5 times. Now, if I'm in a big corporate, so I'm working in a fintech company at the moment, they have 12 follow-up steps to do within the first 6 months. These aren't all in one day. We're not going to send them 5 emails in one day going, hello, you're ignoring me, I feel sad. Okay, we're not doing that. Okay, what do we do at the next stage, and how can you, A, decide if it's right for them to proceed, and if it's right for you to proceed? Because we don't actually always want every client that inquires to us, particularly if they're saying, hi, you're beautiful. We don't really want them to do, well, maybe you do, I don't know, times might be really tough. Okay, so let's have a think if it's right to continue. Okay, if they're talking to you, what are the next steps? You're not always trying to sell to them. I'm going to go back to this one. They've just inquired, you're replying. You might sometimes go straight away to selling them something if it's not a complicated sale. If there's a bit of consulting involved or testing, quite often, you need to go through a few extra steps. Don't race. It's like dating. You don't race to the marriage. You've got to do a little bit of wooing and dating and finding out about each other first before you can make that sale. So don't miss those steps out of your process. You're qualifying that lead before you can sell to them. Okay, skipping back. Dating is a terrible analogy for a single woman to talk about on a slide. But anyway, what are the next steps? Can you automate those next steps? Can you, depending on what systems you have, and obviously I don't know what systems everybody on this webinar has, can you automate anything? Can there be questionnaires and quizzes, for example, that can help find their level? Can the results be automatically sent somewhere to you and to them? Can that therefore, tag them in an email sequence and send them down a different funnel? Can you do any of that, depending? If you don't know what I'm talking about, there are lots of people here that can help you with that. Is your messaging clear and correct? This is particularly at the start of that journey. I see a lot of people sending all of the information in the world in that first follow-up email. It's too overwhelming, particularly if it's not in the language that they speak natively. So lots of English schools, for example, will send it in English. The person might be a beginner or even a false beginner. It's a lot of stuff to read. Let's be really clear. You can put it on video with a transcript. That might be a bit more friendly. It could be translated. Are you being clear? I love a bullet point myself. And have you set an expectation? Do they know roughly how much you're going to be charging so they can decide whether it's for them or not? Have you told them that there will be a test? Have you given them an opportunity to make an appointment with you if you need to chat to them and consult? Have you set that next expectation in that first reply? Just a few things to think about. And then you do that pretty much at every step. It's not difficult. So every step. So you may have had that chat with them and you followed it up with the right information for the right course or thing that they're going to buy. And then they go quiet. And then it's even more awkward because you gave them your heart and soul and you thought it was in the bag and it's not. You still need to follow up 5 times from that point. Unless they have said, yeah, I don't have the budget, or no, I'm just not interested. We want to try and find out why, ideally. Okay, and then we tweak the process as we go along. That's pretty much all we do. Track your numbers. I'm going to tell you how to do the follow-ups without squirming in a moment, but we do want to know your numbers. So much like Herbert was talking about the email funnel, the emails in a funnel. You're looking at your conversion rates between, and you might be looking at click-through rates, for example, as well. Track those numbers and see where you're losing people. It's the same if you were making sales phone calls, especially if you're selling business to business, so to an agency or something. You need to see how many phone calls you're making, how many you get through to people, and how many of those turn into further meetings or conversations. Start knowing where you are. So, for example, if you need 5 new agent partners in Russia, you're probably going to have to cold call maybe 50 agents. You're probably going to get through to maybe 10 after, a few tries. And out of those 10, hopefully 5 of them, as long as you've done your research and you know they sell what you offer or they're keen, 5 of them will come through. But I mean, those are very generic figures. Don't take those as gospel. But you do need to know your figures in order to know what you need. If you need to fill a gap in your market, you need to know what work you need to put in. Okay. And then what you need to progress them into each stage of that process. So, okay, what do we actually label them? Are we all with me so far? I'm going to see if there's anything in the chat. Do I need? Okay, there's some, oh, you're on it, Alex. I'll leave you to the chat then. Fabulous. Okay, so the lead comes in and then we take them through these stages. This is assuming we get through to them, okay? So we go, lead comes in. There's still a cool lead at this point, especially in our sector. Okay, then they go, you can call them what you like. I don't mind what you call them, but it does make sense to do the heat analogy. That's what lots of people work with. So cool, warm, hot, and hottest. And then they become a client, which is brilliant. And then hopefully they become a super fan, which is even better. But you might call these the stage 1, stage 2, or you might call it replying to inquiry stage, follow-up stage, negotiation stage, etc. You can call them what you like. Okay, we need to track the numbers in each of these stages. This is your pipeline information. What we will find is a lot of them stay around these stages. Now, if you're a sales leader in your company, it's your job to kick them out of here if they're in there too long. Okay, if they've gone cold, they actually go back really to the start. It's your job to move them along. Don't just leave them in there and hope they're going to convert at some point. I know we're optimists, but you need to actually work on them as well. Okay, so that's what a pipeline looks like. And then we start tracking those numbers. So every month you should be looking, if not every week, you should be looking at how many people you moved from lead to getting that reply to that first email. How many you progressed from that email exchange or DM exchange onto a meeting where you have a chat with them. How many happened this month or this week? And then from there, how many went on to talk about pricing and getting very specific about what they want to buy, etc. And you keep going. If you're only tracking one figure, if this is all too much, track how many leads you get in and how many sales you make every month. It's just 2 numbers. It's amazing how many people don't track that. It's just 2 numbers. How many leads do you get in? How many sales do you make? And then look at it over the year and see what you need to do. See how many leads you need to generate in order to make the sales that you need to come out the other end. Sounds too simple when I say it like that, doesn't it? Super easy. Okay. Then we see how we can improve. So have you done enough follow-up? If you're not getting the sales that you want, usually I find it's two things. You're not getting enough leads into your sales funnel, so you need to generate more leads. And that could be by advertising, by your content, could be cold outreach, could be networking, all sorts of things you could do there. And are you doing enough follow-up? It's usually either end of the spectrum. You're not doing enough to get enough leads in, and you're not doing enough follow-up. The easiest way to make revenue quickly is to go through all of your leads and follow them up. Use a follow-up map, go and follow them up and follow them up again and follow them up again. That's where you'll find immediate money. Literally, I could go into a company tomorrow and make money from the leads that they haven't followed up.
Nicola, just on that, I bet you've even got a rough statistic of this, because I've heard the numbers myself of like 50% of your leads will convert within the first month, and then at least 50% will convert in the next 12 months. That's the number I've sort of heard. Do you have a rough rule of thumb that you've seen in the sector?
That's quite a student, that's a direct student, I think, yeah. So
well, it could be anything. There's different sectors, so people will have different metrics, but you're the expert here, so I'll leave you to whatever numbers you have.
I don't want to commit though, Alex, if I'm being honest, because it's so different.
Okay.
So it depends on what you're selling, how complex that sale is. If it's something that people buy for a year's contract, for example, the lead time could be a year. So it's difficult to tell. For students, that sounds about right. For agents, it's usually about 3 months from a kind of cold approach through to talking about sending the first students.
What I'm curious about is not that there's the length of the buying cycle, which is one thing, which, as you say, students, small, one decision maker, easier sale, but more just the fact that a lot of the times we think that, this person didn't convert, right? And even if you actually do have this follow-up process that you're talking about, you find that actually the conversion rate is actually much, much higher, as long as you're doing conversion rates and knowing that conversion might not happen within the first month. It may happen in month 6 or month 8 or month 12. Which
is why usually I would build in about 12 follow-ups over about 6 months. Yeah. That's why I would do it. With direct inquiries, I can give you an example. A company I've been with, they had about a 3% conversion rate when I started, and they were really only doing 1 follow-up, though they were diarising 2. They now do 5 follow-ups. Well, they're planning to do 5 follow-ups, but most of them are converting at follow-up number 3 because we've improved the follow-ups themselves. And now they're up to 17%. After 2 months, they're up to 17% conversion. So they're doing really well just from looking at the follow-ups and what they're putting in and how they're adding value and how they're following up as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to really labor that point because it just shows how fundamentally different your business could be with the exact same number of leads. Nothing else changes, no extra marketing person, just simply a great sales process.
Yes.
I think it's really, really inspiring. Thanks for that, Nicola.
You're welcome. No, it's very exciting, and I find it's the easiest part of my job. So it's great for me. It's great because I can go in and get my costs back within a week. Usually, it's very easy. Well, I say it's easy. You've got to actually do the work and actually do the follow-ups. You can't just. It's not like gym membership where you join and hope that you're gonna be super fit within a week if you don't go. Okay, so we do have to bear in mind a few things as we're doing that follow-up. Is do they trust you enough to buy from you? Now, if it's a small ticket item, doesn't matter so much. If this is a life-changing study abroad trip, they need to trust you. Now, hopefully, you'll have built that trust up through your social media and your ads and all of your content. But you do need to continue that through, and that tone of voice and everything, through into your follow-ups. So if you're a company big enough to have sales and marketing, you need to be talking to each other. Let's get rid of the silos and talk to each other about what they need at each stage of the follow-up. Are they clear on your benefits? Benefits-led selling is much bigger now than it was pre-pandemic because, lots of reasons. One thing is they know, they can see on your website what you offer and how much you are and all of this kind of thing. It's nice to point it out as well, but they want to know their transformation. They want to know what else you're bringing to the table. One thing will be trust, okay, and reputation and quality, but also they want to feel things, reassured, confident, like they're getting good value, like they can strut around in front of their mates and get a good job and all sorts of things. What actual benefits are you bringing to these people? And we need to point that out. Do they know that you can solve their problem? Not how you can solve their problem, but do they know that you can? Sometimes they don't feel they can, for example, improve their English accent, for example. You need to make them believe that you can improve your accent, first of all, and then you are the person that can help them do that. So you're actually changing the status quo, and that's got to be, if you just go, oh, we have small classes and we charge this and we're a member of this, that doesn't tell them that. They don't have the belief. Can you add extra value? So we'll be talking about value. I love a value add. You should not be talking to anyone in a sales capacity without adding some sort of value at every single interaction. That might be a tip. It might be making them smile, because that's valuable. It might be making them laugh. It might be making them sing a song. I don't mind what it is. Whatever your ideal customer will want and value, that's what you need to give them pieces of. Now, Korinne gave us a load of great stuff there. So if you've got an inquiry about business English and it comes in and you've gone, oh, here's the information about our business English courses, fabulous, and then they go quiet, maybe you then send them a piece of that content, so your blog on business English courses or a testimonial from a student. Thought you might be interested in seeing this testimonial. Have you had a chance to look over my stuff? Blah, blah, blah. That's another follow-up. The next follow-up, it could be, here's the teacher that teaches business English. So you can repurpose, you're going to love this, so you can repurpose all of that stuff into your follow-ups as well. So we love a bit of extra recycling. So use that in your follow-ups, whatever they're going to value, and set up templates for them. Don't just rely on email, because email's very, very noisy. I love email marketing, it's very noisy. If you're selling anything, of value, so not for low ticket items, because it won't be worth it. You need to look at your cost of sale. Anything that's of a slightly higher value, is it worth a phone call or a voice message or something like that? There are different ways to contact people. Now, you can obviously DM, but you can do videos in there and you can do voice notes in there. It doesn't have to be text-based. Okay. Also, just on the whole video and voice message thing, it increases trust because it makes you real. So video messaging is big. And again, I've tried this in a few companies. The US do this brilliantly now already. If you increase your video prospecting for clients, so you've got all those leads sitting there that you haven't really done anything with and you're a bit embarrassed and you're never going to tell me in this chat, I know that, but they're sitting there, make a little video saying, oh, you contacted us pre-COVID, I hope to find you safe and well, this is what we're doing now, here's a link to my calendar if you want to chat, and DM it to them if you can, or WhatsApp it to them, or you can obviously embed it into a video. It increases trust, it just makes you more human. Human to human selling is big, like the benefits. They want to know they can trust you. They want to know that you're a human, that someone is there. It's not faceless. So don't forget that. Are you wooing them enough? That's just all about follow-up. Follow them up, woo them, go through the dating process with them. I'm going to have to stop with that. And are you making it easy for them? My goodness me, if I see any more long forms, I'm such a moaner about admin. I'm like a child about it. If it's a long form, I will not fill it in. If it's a long form that they have to fill in, fair enough. But offer to help them with it, particularly if they're a non-native speaker. Have a chat, get admissions or whoever can help them to go through it with them. They can screen share and you can do it with them. Make it easy for them. Be as helpful as you can. Obviously, if you're processing 1 million student enrollments, you can't do that, but do question your processes. But back to the adding value, every one of those follow-ups, where are we? Just going to head back here. So every one of these, they've ghosted you. I hope you like the Halloween reference. They've ghosted you. Every one of these follow-ups, don't feel awkward. Give them something fabulous that's valuable or going to make them smile or laugh or think. Doesn't even have to be your content. It could be, oh, I saw this funny cartoon about learning business English. Here's the link. Or I read this really interesting report about business English, about how it helps your job prospects. Here's the link. And obviously, as soon as they click through, they've interacted with you then, and you know that they're a hot lead. So it doesn't even need to be your content. Okay. Let's crack on, because I think actually that was it, but we have time for questions. Oh, this is me. So in case you hadn't realised, that's me. This is my email. Feel free to get in touch. If you just put in nofluff.biz, you'll find me pretty much everywhere. I have various free groups on Facebook, and obviously I'm on Instagram and that kind of thing. And obviously these guys, I'm sure, will pass me on. Do we have any questions, Alex?
We do. Just let's start off with the first one, and while others might be jotting some down. But it's really just about, should we offer free services in order to get some initial testimonials? And then I guess, particularly if somebody's earlier in their building the business cycle, how do we do that without spending a lot of money?
Ooh, you see, I'm always divided on this, because originally I thought, offer free stuff, get testimonials, and that's good. And I did do that at the beginning of my no fluff journey. However, I now feel I give away too much free stuff. It's hard to get people to pay for it. So it is a bit of a tricky one. I think if you are offering free courses or whatever it might be, in order to get testimonials, be super clear on what you're asking for and get it in as many formats as possible. Korinne probably has got more to say on this, but if you can get, for example, a video testimonial of them, then get it transcribed, then you can turn it into multiple pieces of content and take stills from the video, and therefore you've got lots of content, and you obviously need their permission to do that. So I would be very, very clear, and I would ask, for example, can you share my posts for the next month or whatever it might be? I'd be super clear about what I wanted to get out of it. But it can be a really good way of getting testimonials, but the best testimonials, I think, come from people that do pay for it.
I think sometimes it could be helpful with the slightly niggly negotiators. You know, if they're really going to hustle you, you've said your listed price and you're like, this is what I'm worth, and people just are like, you gotta give me something. You can use that as a bit of a tradable, and you can say, look, all right, I'll give you what you want, but this is what I would need from, and I'd expect from you after the second week, after you kind of at least had an exposure to my kind of tutoring or my kind of language tuition. And then, I would expect, all you need to do is use your phone. It looks fantastic. We've got it on our podcast. We've got it on our webinar on how to do testimonials. It's really easy, but you can use that as a bit of a tradable as well. So that can help.
Yeah, I think actually what might work better. So I offer money back guarantees, for example, on my programs. I haven't had one person do it because obviously I'm fabulous, but the mentality behind that is that they still have to value you and your input and your time. But if they're not happy, it can be completely no quibble. If you're not happy, I will give you your money back. If you are happy, please leave me a review, because most people are happy to leave you a review if they're happy with the service, like 78%. So personally, I prefer that method, but that might feel uncomfortable, might be admin heavy.
I think it's a great tip. I think money back guarantees are a total winner in it, and it shows that you back your service. And quite frankly, if somebody's asking for a refund, it's often not worth trying to dispute it. But you never seem to win, even if people are totally unreasonable. So best just to get it done.
Yeah, those negotiators, those that quibble over price, are usually the most pain in the clients.
Yeah, I agree. I've got a question just while we're waiting for some more. Was when do you introduce price? And I'm kind of curious about it, particularly if you've got a high value product. Because if you bring it too early, people don't understand the value. If you bring it too late, people are like, oh, why are you holding me off? I don't know if you've got any thoughts on this, Nicola.
Actually, I'm very early with price.
Okay, good.
On my price, so my prices are even published, which is very unusual. So I publish my and you know, I'm a big believer in being transparent, which is very weird for a salesperson. I realise that, but that's the way I work. It depends on what you're selling. You do want, if it's a complicated thing to understand, you do need to explain the value. First of all, I would explain that, and we're talking about explaining the value, not explaining what you do. There's a different. So explaining those benefits that they're going to get, which might be quite airy fairy, you're going to feel happy, reassured, confident, beautiful, whatever it might be. Yeah. And then justifying with your features is the better way around it, because it's an emotional buy. It's more of an emotional buy now than it has ever been. But I'm a big believer in bringing price up relatively soon. So actually I did talk to a Facebook ad specialist 4 or 5 years ago. And I didn't know how much it was. I had no idea. And I said, I'm interested in doing Facebook ads. And he messaged back and said, okay, well, my fee is £2,000 a month plus ad spend. Can you afford that? I went, no. It saved us hours of time. I'm fine with that. It was quite abrupt. There are probably better ways of doing it. But I thought, yeah, you're right, actually. I don't have the budget for that right now. I was a new, No Fluff was a new company at the time. So I do believe in that whole BANT. I've probably mentioned BANT before. So making sure they have the budget, authority, need, and the timeline. So you get those ticked before you spend hours consulting with these people. BANT.
That is great. I love it. BANT.
BANT.
You're coming away with jargon here, folks. There you get it.
Jargon and everything.
Yeah, this is great. Herbert or Korinne, did you have any questions relating to sales? And otherwise, we'll probably finish up in the next couple of minutes.
Actually, Nicola just addressed what my biggest question was when to introduce price, because that is always a hard one, especially when you're on our side of the equation as consultants, and you never want to assume that somebody doesn't have the budget, and it's finding that kind of elegant way of posing, of presenting those prices, because you don't want to waste your time, you don't want to waste the client's time, but you can't discount anyone, so yeah.
One other thing I do train on is having a value ladder. I don't know if you talk about value ladder. So having a value ladder, so those people, usually it's used as part of a funnel, isn't it? So they come in at your free level, then they go up a low ticket, that kind of thing. But if you're talking to people, say, well, I have my one-to-one stuff, if that's what you're doing, is around this price per month for so many hours, whatever it is. But then I have group things for this, and then I have, recorded sessions for this, or whatever it is. So making sure you have the value ladder as well. Yeah. I usually start with the higher price and then go low. I usually anchor that way.
Great.
I'll leave with one question as well, just on the follow-ups, because I'm very guilty of this, and I'm sure other people might feel the same. We don't follow up enough for a start. And part of that is, again, you're totally hitting it right. We feel salesy. We feel like we can't do it. I definitely seem to be fine with like, hey, we're doing this webinar. This could be a value add and all those sorts of things. Yeah. But it's more, the things I find hard is the ones where I'm like, are you still interested? Or here's a testimonial. Like, it feels so me focused. And I don't know how you feel about it and how you introduce it so it doesn't feel like, it's all about you. I don't know if you've got any ideas on that.
Excuse me. I've got no problem with saying, are you still interested?
Yeah.
I wouldn't just say that.
Yeah.
I would say, I thought you might be interested in this, or I noticed that you'd just done this, if it's a corporate. I've sent you some information before. Do you want to follow up next week or a few weeks down the line? What's easier for you? That's probably what I would do. Excuse me, not COVID related.
No, I think that's great. I'll summarize what I heard while you're coughing. But what I heard was, instead of saying just, are you interested, but kind of create options. Are you not responding because you're just too busy, or is there another time? Like setting a future time, and then it's not and also you're setting yourself up to possibly at the end of it, like a breakup email where you're like, look, it really sounds like you're not interested, and then I'll pull the pin, but really hope to hear from you.
Yeah, I don't really like breakup emails either. I will keep them on my list and in my funnel until they unsubscribe. Actually, I don't know the right thing to do, but that's what
Oh, very good.
Because I'm always bringing in new things. So
yeah,
I figure they're interested and they have the option to unsubscribe, so they can. So I wouldn't necessarily do a breakup email myself. Is that the right thing to do? Corinne's probably the
yeah, I tend not to break up with anyone. I tend to just shuffle them to the side and sort of, they don't get the full A game attention, but they get the hey, how are you every now and then. So yeah, because you never know. It could just be that you've spoken to somebody and their boss has said no, but in 3 months' time, maybe something's different, and they're like, oh, actually now we can do that. Yeah.
Sorry.
I think I'm going to follow with the crowd, but I'm also going to be the contentious one. One reason that they're really helpful is they force somebody to say yes or no. And when they do that, they're often like, I'll just wait and see if I get another email. Let's see if I get another email. And when you say, look, I'm literally going to take you off the list, they're like, I like you though. I like getting those emails. And then you're like, oh, okay, I'll just keep you on the list. But, so for me, it's more about creating an actual response on the other side rather than oh, I can't wait to not send you emails. It's more about generating a response. But I'm going to follow Nicola.
Interesting.
Folks, I've really enjoyed it. Again, selfishly, I'm particularly interested in the sales side. So Nicola, I think it's been fantastic to listen to you. Nicola, can you tell people again where they're going to find you and learn more information?
Yes, so it's nofluff.biz is both my website and my Instagram handle if you want to find me over there. Or Nicola Lutz, which is LUTZ. You can find me pretty much everywhere, LinkedIn and Facebook. Everywhere.
Herbert, they can find you at
herbertgoza.com on my website.
They were such good little tips, by the way, Herbert. I'm definitely jotting those down. Korinne, where can they find you?
Oh gosh, I get the really hard name that no one remembers.
It's a great name. People can stop the recording.
It is a
Don't
great
worry
name,
about it.
but yeah. So either KorinneLG.com, or Instagram is probably the fastest way to get me. So that's at KAIE_marketing. So that's me there. But if you, again, like Nicola, if you Google my name, you will find me very easily. And if anyone here is going to be at ICEF Berlin, they need to come past my booth, booth number 42. It's wonderfully pink and girly, so you won't miss it. It also happens to be right near the tea and coffee stations. So come find me there.
Good place to be.
Yeah, it's my regular spot. It's a very good place. I have lots of coffee chats.
Fantastic. That sounds amazing, Korinne. I'm sure you'll get plenty of people to take you up on that. And if you're interested in LearnCube, visit us at www.learncube.com and sign up for a free trial. But otherwise, thanks so much, folks. And we'll see you next month, last Thursday of the month. See you now.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.